Congratulations on the purchase of your new vinyl cutter. I'm Josh Ellsworth, General Manager with Stahls CAD Cut Direct. At Stahls CAD Cut Direct, we believe firmly in educating decorators on how to use equipment so you can profit and make more money in your business. So you've purchased this vinyl cutter, or maybe you bought it a while ago and you're just finally dusting it off, learning how to use it. I've talked to many decorators over the last 10 years that haven't really been using their vinyl cutter. The reason is they just don't know how. Sometimes the manuals aren't completely accurate, or they're tough to follow. Enter video training. That's what you're watching right here. Nick Horvath is a vinyl cutter expert with our company, Stahls CAD Cut Direct. He knows over 10 models of vinyl cutters that we've put together on the first installment of our training program. There'll be many more to come. We have a commitment to educating you on how to use your vinyl cutter. In turn, we hope you entrust us with your business for heat-applied films. We manufacture and sell the films direct. So we'll give you some more tips later on how to connect with us on Facebook and other ways where you can keep updated on your cutter with tips, tricks, and new videos. But for now, enjoy this educational session. Let's go over some highlights of what you'll learn today. Today you'll learn how to connect your cutter to your computer, also plugging in the power cable, teach you how to load the blade and also set that blade, loading material into your vinyl cutter, adjusting and setting the pinch rollers, creating and sending artwork to your cutter, cutting a design, weeding a design. Then we'll also learn about replaceable parts. And now on to Nick.
Hello, this is Nick Horvath, your vinyl cutter expert for Stahls CAD Cut Direct. As you can see, we have the GCC Expert 24 cutter, stand assembled, already set up. We have the drivers installed on our computer, and all you need to do is plug it in. You will need a standard 110 outlet, and all you'll need to do is plug the power cable right into the side of the cutter, right here, and then you would plug your power cable into the wall. And the next step would be to hook up your cutter into your computer. As you can see, we have serial port here and USB port. You would take your USB port for this training and hook that up to your cutter first, and then go ahead and hook that up to your computer. And before we go ahead and turn your cutter on, we're going to need to load some material. You would load the material down here where the roll holder is. As you can see, the wheels are adjustable based on the width of roll of material you're using. Let's go ahead and put your material on the roll holder, feed it through your cutter. I'm going to go ahead and push this between the roll holders. And next step, you would want to make sure your pinch rollers are under the white portion where the grit rollers are and as close to the edge as possible. You may need to use a little force on the cutter pinch rollers here as they are brand new. And next thing I want to do is lock them down in the back, and then we'll go ahead and turn the unit on. Your cutter would have shipped with a 45-degree blade, great for cutting most vinyls or heat-applied films, as well as a blade holder. Next step would be to insert the blade into the blade holder, and you want to be roughly half the thickness of a credit card to the thickness of a credit card. To adjust that, you would turn the bottom of the blade holder clockwise to increase the amount of blade extending from the blade holder, or counterclockwise to decrease the amount of blade extending from the blade holder. Now that you have your blade loaded into your blade holder, the next step would be to load the blade holder into the carriage. And next step would be to do a test cut, but before we go there, let's first go over the functions of your control panel. First, you have your on/offline button. When the light is green, that means your cutter is ready to receive a job from your computer. To use the other functions, you want to take your cutter offline by pressing the on/offline button. As you notice, the green light will go off. First, you have your pause button. When your material is cutting, if you need to pause for any reason, you would hit the pause button, hitting pause again to continue on with your cutting job. Repeat would repeat the last job in memory. Data clear would clear the cutter's memory of all jobs. Cut test would perform your cut test. Origin set is to tell the cutter where to begin cutting. So for instance, wherever your carriage is at the moment, when you hit origin set, it will begin cutting at that point. And finally, we have your arrows. The right and left arrow would move the carriage from left to right. Up or down arrow would either extend material or pull material back into the cutter. And then finally move the material all the way back to get ready to do your test cut. The rest of your settings, which are your downforce, offset, and speed, are changed through your computer. Now we're into our virtual LCD, where we're going to change our downforce. But before we do that, let's go ahead up to port settings. Gives you settings for your COM port, which is a serial port, or a USB. We're going to go ahead and select USB for this training. Click on Connect to go ahead and connect your cutter. Now let's move down to pull size. Pull size will read the material readings that you just took from left to right of each pinch roller. Here's your downforce. The machine is capable of doing a downforce from 0 to 250 grams of force, and that's based on your material thickness, the age of your blade, and how far out you have your blade extended. Let's go ahead for this. Let's start off at about 136 grams of force. And we'll go ahead and select light for our media settings. You have a choice of light or heavy media depending on the thickness of vinyl you're cutting. And here's your offset settings, which are dependent on your blade and media you're using. Auto unroll is a feature that this cutter has that'll make sure that your tracking is set properly, as well as enough media present to cut multiple jobs. And finally, we have update setting, which really just sends all these settings to your cutter. And we'll go ahead and exit out of this and do our test cut. As you can see, the media extended past the cutting strip of your cutter. This particular cutter does not have an optic eye to stop media from going all the way out of the back. So what we're going to do is bring your media up over the cutting strip. And you want to go ahead and set your origin. And then press your cut test button to perform a cut test, which is basically a square with a plus sign inside of it. Based on the settings that we have for our downforce, this should have cut through, so something else must be wrong. Let's see here. If you notice, the blade holder is sitting on top of the carriage. This is a common mistake for these cutters, to install the blade holder on top of the carriage by accident. What actually, you need to take the blade holder and insert it into this groove inside of the carriage. Now let's go ahead and do the test cut again. Set our origin once again. Now here's our test cut. Let's weed that. And that's what you want to look for. You want to cut through your film, but not through your carrier. Okay, here we are in Corel Draw. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you have the proper printer driver selected, which would be your Expert 24. So we'll go into File, under Print Setup. Make sure you have Expert 24 selected. Click OK. The next step, you'll want to go ahead and read the material width from your cutter. So you'll double click on this shadow here. And you want to click on Set from Printer. That'll take everything from your printer put it into the Corel Draw. And the final step before you go ahead and cut your design that you've already made is you want to select your design by drawing the box around it, which just you use by dragging your mouse. Once you've done that, you would click on your pen tool called the Outline tool. Click on the first little dialog here, which is Outline Pen Dialog. That brings up another menu, and it's very crucial that you set the width to 0.001 millimeters for all GCC models, or else Corel Draw will not successfully send your job. Click OK, and then we'll go ahead and go cut our design. Click on File, Print, and then Print again. Now that we've cut our job, we're going to go ahead and weed it. As you can see, we have nice clean cuts. Now we're going to go over some of the replaceable parts of your cutter. One of the most important parts you'll want to keep an eye on is your cutting strip. You'll notice when this starts to wear out, is you won't be getting such concise cuts as you once did, even though you have a new blade in proper settings. You'll also notice that there'll be grooves or etch marks in your cutting strip. And this is an easy replace. This just comes right out, and you'd put the new strip back in, and it will have self-adhesive on the back of it. Another replaceable part would be your blade and blade holder. When the blade wears out, you'll replace your blade, and eventually the blade holder will wear out as well, but not as fast as your blade or cutting strip. Just want to show you a few more things about this great cut software. I've gone ahead and imported a design here that I've designed in Corel Draw. One of the first things I want to show you is how to set your page size. Setting the page size is relatively easy. What you would do is scroll over to Settings, Working Area, and now you have the option to read from your cutter. That'll pull up the measurements that it took, or you can type in the measurements. So for instance, if width of my media is 15 inches, since it's a roll of material, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 19 inch. We'll go ahead and type that in. You click OK. Another way to do it is you could select from one of these already made dimensions. Let's go ahead and click OK. Notice how the page adjusts. Now our Ferrari down here doesn't fit, so what I'm going to do is move our player name and number, and we'll go ahead and select this Ferrari. And the software also allows you to rotate. Click on Design and rotate. Now we're going to drag the Ferrari back to fit within our page. And the next thing I want to show you is how to make multiple copies. So let's say we want to go ahead and copy this Johnson 25. You would go ahead and click on, actually you'd want to click on the multiple copy, or you could select Shift and the M key. Now you have the option of just filling the working area with as many multiple copies as you can, or you can just make one or however many copies you want on the X or Y axis. We're going to go ahead and fill the working area, and it looks to me like we're not able to put another one in this working area, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and copy one. Looks like we did fill our working area. What I did here, just want to show you what I did. I selected to make 2 on the X-axis and 2 on the Y-axis. So that's why it went ahead and filled them like that. And then we can go ahead and undo, and I'll show you that again. We'll click on multiple copy, and we'll leave it at 1 this time. That'll just leave it at 1. So we'll go ahead and make 2 along the Y-axis. So this way we fill our page. It wasn't filling the page because it was reading there was an edge there. So now we're almost ready to send this to the cutter. The next thing I want to show you is how you're able to cut by color or separate 2 color, 1 and 2 color. So let's go ahead and select the background of the Ferrari. You can go ahead and select this color palette here to change the color of them. So that's blue. You can change the color of the background now. We'll go ahead and change that. And let's say I just want to cut this red portion here. We'll go to File, Output. Since I'm not going to send it to the cutter for this training, just click on Preview. It'll show you exactly what you're going to cut. And that's just going to cut the red. So this way, if you have a different color film loaded, you can cut this first, and then go ahead and cut your foreground or background when you load the other color of film. And last but not least, you have the ability to save jobs. Let me go ahead and click on Save. This is a real neat function here. If you have an order for a customer, you can type in your order number, the company, name, street, city, phone, email, memo, all types of information for this. Go ahead and click OK, and then it brings up the file name you wish to call it on your computer. So we'll just put test and click Save. This concludes our training on the GCC Expert 24. Now I'll turn you back over to Josh.
Thanks, Nick. Hopefully you as a decorator have an understanding now of what you can do with your vinyl cutter out of the box. Basic setup, how to use it, how to create designs in the software that's included, and ultimately create your first cut. Hopefully you're that far with us. Now the next thing I want to show you is what we can offer, Stahls CAD Cut Direct. At StahlsCADCutDirect.com, we manufacture heat-applied films and sell them direct. Believe it or not, a little over 20 years ago we actually invented CAD Cut. Did you know that with your vinyl cutter, a quality heat press, and CAD Cut you can decorate athletic team uniforms, customize t-shirts, decorate hooded sweatshirts, bags, performance wear, or even shoes? Our films come in a multitude of colors and even effects. Popular finishes such as foil, electric, flock, and glitter highlight an all-star lineup, all available to you. As a vinyl cutter owner, you can order directly from the manufacturer. All you have to do is go online to CADCutDirect.com or call. It's that easy. Now let's show you the basics of decorating a shirt with your vinyl cutter. Load your CADCutDirect.com heat-applied film into the cutter. Send the job. After cut, weed away the excess material. Trim apart your designs. Position it. And heat press it. Did I mention we manufacture heat presses as well? Look up Hotronics.com for the world's #1 heat press. That's it, a completed garment that is lab certified for durability. Pretty simple to create a shirt with your new vinyl cutter, isn't it? Now let's go back through and reinforce some of the points that we've learned today. You learned how to connect your cutter via USB to your computer, also how to connect the power cable You learned how to set your blade into the blade holder, loading material, adjusting and locking your pinch rollers, some basic design, how to send to the cutter, how the cutter cuts out your design, and then how to weed it. And then we also taught you about replaceable parts. Okay, so we're almost done. Are you on information overload yet? Let's wrap this whole thing up. 2 more things. Number 1, if you own a heat press, obviously you have a vinyl cutter, and want to purchase CAD cut materials or start with us, visit cadcutdirect.com. You can purchase any one of our materials from that website. Number 2, become a fan of ours on Facebook. Simply go to facebook.com/cadcutdirect and click on Become a Fan. This is going to allow you to stay engaged with us. You'll receive all the updates that we put out on your vinyl cutter, videos, new how-tos, workflows, even tips or testimonials from other users. You can even hop on and ask a question. Those are the 2 big things that you can do right now. Buy material or become a fan, or both of them. Once again, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and best of luck with your new vinyl cutter from Stahls CAD Cut Direct.